Dwayne Johnson, the name that represents power, the face that symbolizes resilience, the man the world knows as unstoppable. But what if the story behind the strength, the charisma, and the global success carries a weight far heavier than anyone realizes? What if the journey that turned him into one of the most recognized figures on the planet is also filled with moments of loss, struggle, and emotional battles that never fully disappeared? Because this is not just a story of fame. This is a story of survival, of rebuilding from nothing, and of carrying invisible scars. While the world sees only confidence born into a family deeply rooted in professional wrestling, he was surrounded by the highs and lows of a business that offered glory one moment and instability. The next, his father, Rocky Johnson, experienced both success and financial hardship, and those fluctuations shaped his early life in ways that left lasting impressions. As a child, he moved frequently, living in different places, facing uncertainty, and witnessing firsthand the realities of financial struggle. At one point, his family was evicted from their home, an experience that left a deep emotional mark, instilling both fear and determination, a realization that nothing was guaranteed and that survival required relentless effort. And even as he grew into a promising athlete playing football at University of Miami, his dreams of a professional career were met with harsh reality injuries, setbacks, and the eventual end of his aspirations in the sport he once believed would define his future. And that moment of loss became one of the most devastating turning points in his life, because it forced him to confront a future that suddenly felt uncertain, stripped away from the identity he had built, and leaving him searching for direction, purpose, and meaning. He has spoken openly about experiencing depression during this time, a period where doubt and frustration overshadowed ambition, and where the path forward was anything but clear. And yet, within that struggle, there was a decision, a refusal to remain in that space, a determination to rebuild, even when the foundation felt broken. Turning to professional wrestling, he stepped into a world that was both familiar and unforgiving, initially facing rejection and criticism before eventually rising to prominence as The Rock, a persona that combined charisma, intensity, and unmatched presence, captivating audiences and redefining what it meant to be a superstar in the WWE. But even as he reached the peak of success in wrestling, the pressure did not disappear. It evolved, transitioning into acting, presented a new set of challenges: skepticism from critics, doubts about his ability to succeed outside the ring, and the constant need to prove that he was more than a single identity. And through relentless work discipline and a refusal to accept limitations, he built a career in Hollywood, becoming one of the highest-grossing actors in the world, starring in major franchises and blockbusters. Yet behind the achievements lies a deeper narrative, one shaped by the emotional toll of constantly striving to maintain success. The pressure of being a brand, a symbol, an expectation, rather than just a person. Because when the world sees you as unstoppable, there is little room to show vulnerability, little space to express uncertainty. And that creates a quiet isolation, a sense that even in moments of struggle, you must continue to project strength. He has been open about his ongoing battles with mental health, sharing experiences of depression that resurfaced at different points in his life, revealing that success does not eliminate internal struggles. It simply changes how they are managed. And perhaps one of the most heartbreaking aspects of his story is the realization that even as he achieved global recognition, financial success, and widespread admiration, the emotional challenges remained a constant presence, requiring continuous effort, awareness, and resilience to navigate. And at 53, the reflection on his journey carries a profound weight, because it is no longer just about what he has accomplished. It is about what he has endured. The childhood instability, the loss of early dreams, the battles with mental health, the pressure of sustaining an image that leaves little room for imperfection, and the responsibility of being a role model to millions around the world. And yet, despite all of this, he continues to move forward, to create, to inspire, to use his platform to speak openly about struggles that many people face in silence. And that is where the true depth of his story lies, not in the success itself, but in the resilience required to achieve it and maintain it. Because behind every victory, there is a process. Behind every achievement, there is a series of challenges that demanded strength beyond what the world sees. And that is what makes his story both inspiring and deeply emotional, because it reveals the human reality behind the larger-than-life image, a reality that includes pain, doubt, and the constant effort to find balance in a life that demands so much. And as he continues to evolve, to take on new roles, to expand his influence, there is a sense that his journey is still unfolding, that there are still lessons to be learned, still challenges to be faced, and still opportunities to grow. And in that ongoing process, there is a quiet truth that resonates beyond fame and success. The understanding that strength is not defined by the absence of struggle, but by the willingness to confront it, to move through it, and to continue forward, even when the path is uncertain. And in that truth lies both the power and the heartbreak of a life lived in the spotlight. The deeper reality of a life built on relentless drive begins to reveal itself, not in the loud moments of victory, but in the quiet spaces where reflection takes over, where the pace slows just enough for the weight of everything to be felt. Because when a person spends years pushing forward without pause, constantly evolving, constantly performing, constantly meeting expectations, there comes a moment where the question shifts from what more can be achieved to what has all of this required internally. And that question does not always come with easy answers, because the very habits that create success, the discipline, the intensity, the refusal to accept limitations, can also make it difficult to rest, to step back, to allow vulnerability without feeling like something is being lost. And in those moments, there is a tension between identity and reality, between the image the world sees and the experience that exists beneath it, because being seen as strong does not remove the need for support. Being admired does not eliminate moments of doubt, and being successful does not protect against emotional fatigue. And that is where the continuation of his journey becomes even more meaningful, because it is not just about maintaining success. It is about redefining what strength actually means, beyond performance, beyond expectation, beyond the constant need to prove something to the world. It becomes about understanding that strength can also exist in stillness, in honesty, in acknowledging limits, and allowing space for recovery, both mentally and emotionally. And that shift is not easy, especially for someone whose life has been built on momentum, on movement, on always pushing forward. But over time, there is a growing awareness that sustainability requires balance, that true resilience is not just about enduring pressure, but about knowing when to release it, when to step back, when to reconnect with the parts of life that exist outside of achievement. And in that process, there is a deeper connection to purpose, not as something defined by external success, but as something rooted in impact, in the ability to influence others, not just through victories, but through authenticity, through the willingness to share struggles, through the courage to speak openly about experiences that many people face, but few discuss publicly. And that openness creates a different kind of legacy, one that extends beyond entertainment or accomplishment into something more human, more relatable, more enduring, because it shows that even those who appear unbreakable have moments where they must rebuild, where they must reassess, where they must find strength in ways that are not always visible. And that is where the emotional depth of his story continues to unfold, not in dramatic events, but in the ongoing process of growth, of learning how to carry success without being consumed by it, how to remain driven without losing connection to self, how to navigate a life that is constantly demanding while still preserving a sense of inner stability. And as time moves forward, there is a quiet transformation, one that does not seek attention, but exists in the way priorities shift, in the way meaning is redefined, in the way fulfillment is no longer tied solely to achievement, but to balance, to presence, to the relationships and experiences that give life depth beyond recognition. And in that transformation, there is a powerful reminder that the journey does not end with success. It evolves, it deepens, it becomes something more complex and more meaningful. And in that evolution lies both the strength and the vulnerability of a life that continues to move forward, not just as a symbol of power, but as a reflection of what it truly means to endure, to adapt, and to find purpose beyond the surface.